Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Zachary Dickinson here. Hope you all having a wonderful week. By the time this comes out, it'll be Wednesday, the middle of the week. Hope it's fun. If it's not fun and you absolutely despise your job and hate it, then, well, sorry about that. But well, anyways, it's halfway through the week. So, today's video is another kind of ranking style video, but can't really be a ranking since I haven't watched too many of this very specific type of anime. This is every supernatural anime that I've watched. Supernatural being kind of supernatural in the sense of extraterrestrial or just like demons and stuff like that, and kind of just like weird weirder or like vampires and like stuff like that as well. So let's get on into it. We have five of them. That's why I couldn't make a top five. I've only watched five in total. So to start us off, we have my favorite of this bunch. We have a anime show, and it also got a sequel that is based off of a video game. And it is Castlevania. Taking place in the past, in whenever there was like witch hunts and all that constantly going around, but it is an anime, so it's based around that time period while still being fantasy and based off real events in a way. But we follow Trevor Belmont and a seeker as they battle the mystical vampires and other supernatural foes along the way, including death. I love this show. It's a wonderful and great show. The animation isn't top tier at all. But if you know the video games or if you know the general idea, you have Dracula, you have Son of Dracula, you have a Belmont who hunts vampires and such, and you have a Seeker who has magical apparatus. You can tell it's probably going to be fun, pretty much. And so it's a fun joyride. There was one episode that I didn't like because it was just weird in and of itself and didn't reflect the rest of the show. But that's about it. And so that's Castlevania. We have four more, including the next one being the sequel to this show. All right, so now we have Castlevania Nocturne, which this is taking place about 200 to 300 years after Castlevania. Alucard is still alive, which is Dracula's son. He's like a vampire and very powerful. And somewhat of a comparison I would make is kind of like Beerus in Dragon Ball Super, where an immense powerful being just naps for a few centuries and then wakes up. Basically, Alucard. Except Alucard isn't a destroyer of any kind. But that's somewhat of an easy comparison. We have Trevor Belmont's descendant, who, because of Trevor Belmont's relationship with the Seeker, I do not remember this Belmont's name, but we have him, who's now a Belmont and a Seeker blend, to where he now has magic. And so this is a wonderful show. It definitely kicked into a much higher gear in season two than in season one. Um, and so it's a very, very fun Richter. Richter's his name. Um, and he also has some help in another Belmont. I believe it's Just A or something like that. But he is a Belmont, uses all the Belmont tools, with also having magical powers as well. So it's a combination of both our two main core characters that wasn't named Alucard of Castlevania. And so I very much loved it. I'm not sure if this is ever going to get season three. I've looked it up. I don't know for sure, but I'm hopeful. And well, that's all I can be. So next next we have three more. Next up is one that just released two seasons last year. Or the year before. So now we're on a show called Bungo Stray Dogs, which is a group of detectives who are mostly all kind of teens or children, really. Group of detectives that all have some type of magical powers, and our main character transforms into a tiger. A white tiger. Um, and so the first episode is pretty much that his other self, um, other self's power is like taking over and killing people, and he wants to find out who is this being that's just killing. Where the heck is that? Okay. Well, he wants to find out who the heck is doing all this, only to find out that he himself is, and so now he must gather his powers and to become more powerful. And throughout every few seasons, we have a big bad that comes through, gets decimated, and blah blah blah. It released about 2 or 3 seasons like last year, and they were all good. However, the only bad part is it won't be coming out with more for quite a while, as it was like 5 chapters behind the manga at that point, and the manga doesn't really seem to be ending. Now, if it does end, we'll probably get about a season or two from that point, and that'll be pretty much it. It has up to this point about 5 or 6 seasons of 13 episodes each. And so it's a wonderful anime. It's definitely my second favorite of this bunch of these five. And so yeah, that is Bungo Stray Dogs. And I love it so much because it's also kind of like a detective show, and I tend to like those. Okay, so now we have a very, very interesting anime. It's called Ayaka. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. But we basically have a kid who just graduates junior high and gets picked up from his family, who take him to an island that he doesn't remember, and come to find out he was basically born, and then a spirit got put inside him to save the island. And later comes to realize his full power and potential. And so this is a very interesting anime. It only has 1 season, and it's probably that's all it's going to get. Pretty much the whole story, for the most part, is already in there. If it got another season, it would just be to continue to continue the whole thing and slightly progress it. But the main actual story and plot points were mostly all like kind of like wrapped up in a nice little bow within the first season, so I don't really find there a need to be more. And so yeah, that's Ayaka with dragons and like spirits and weird powers and stuff. Alright, so now as we head into our final anime of these five, that's not really a top five, just all the supernatural anime that I've watched. If you've been watching this video up to this point, we're 8 minutes deep into it. So why don't you like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We post here about 4 or 5 times every single week. So you'll be getting all of your love of whichever much of the content that you like. And also in a few weeks, after this is out, I'll have them in with the deep dives portion to go into them in a little bit deeper and stuff. So be careful and watch out for that. Also, come make a comment below. And if you subscribe, you'll be like the 13th, 14th, something like that. We're at 12. Let's get 20. We're on the road to 20. So we we have the final anime of these five, and that is Hell's Paradise. Convicted convicted criminals go to an island to retrieve an elixir of life. The island has many monsters, and these beings who are very powerful, who can change between male and female. This is a supernatural anime because all these different character it deals with monsters and stuff like that, and the monsters have an eerie similar feel to the Castlevania, the way that the way that the humans within the vampire army made more night creatures and stuff like that. And so they have a very similar vibe to that. So we have, and so this also just finished season 2. So be on the watch for next week's video on what I have watched recently in both March and April. And this is Hell's Paradise. So Hell's Paradise season 2 will also be in that video as well. And so be on the watch for that. But yeah, that is Hell's Paradise, and it has monsters, magical powers, beings that can change into different genders, and they're searching for an elixir. And so season 3 is probably going to come out in about 2 or 3 years if I'm being realistic, but I'll wait for it. It'll be a good fun watch for a little while, and then I'll move on. But those are 5 supernatural anime that I've watched. And so yeah. If you got any other supernatural anime recommendations, put them down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to watch them in the near future. But if you did like this video, as I said before, like it, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment below whether it's something pertaining to this video or just saying that you're having a wonderful week or something like that. It's always fun talking with y'all in the comments, so let's continue it. I'll see you all in the next one on Friday with the next isekai, The New Gate.